Hey everybody, Jeff Miller here, head of GMAT instruction at Target Test Prep, and today I have a great video I want to do with you, which is taking GMAT practice tests. We are going to discuss how to start off taking your practice tests and how to take them at the end of your prep and how to utilize them fully so that you will be ready for test day. Tip number one, start with a full-length practice GMAT and make it an official one. Here's the deal. GMAT offers 6 total practice exams, right? So all you need to do is take the first free one. Now you might be thinking, why would I waste a practice exam at the beginning of my prep? Well, the cool thing is that the 2 free exams have very large data banks of questions. So if you were to repeat those tests down the road in your prep, chances are you'll see a lot of different questions and you can retake them to get a pretty accurate score. Now going back to why we want you to take this practice exam, well, anytime you're starting off with your GMAT prep, you need to know where you're starting at, right? You need to get that baseline score. I talk about it all the time. The purpose of that is so you can see how far you are off from your target score, right? So if you're 200 points off, you're going to know that you'll probably have to study longer than if you're 50 points off. The point is you need to ensure that you get that baseline score. Now, here's the other thing. You also need to make sure that you're taking that exam very seriously. Now, this is going to also reflect on how you're dealing with your practice exams down the road when you're at the end of your prep, but there's things you can do to make it as realistic as possible. For example, if you're taking the GMAT at home or planning to, take it in the same location you'll be taking the online GMAT, right? If you're taking it at a test center, try to mimic that type of quiet-ish location, like a conference room at work. If you can, conference room at the library, heck, even a table in the middle of a library as long as you have Wi-Fi access. Use the same utensils. So if you're taking the GMAT at home, get that whiteboard, get that marker. If you're taking it at a test center, get your dry erase notebook and that dry erase marker so you're mimicking those conditions. Don't take extra breaks. Don't try to pause the exam. Don't try to take the exam over a 2-day span. You got to do exactly what you would do when taking the real thing so your baseline score is accurate, and then you can accurately say, this is how far off I am from my target score, and thus this is how long I may need to study. Tip number 2, be sure to master GMAT Quant and Verbal before taking any more practice exams. This is huge. I have students who come to me all the time that say, you know what? I want to take a practice test every single weekend until my GMAT. I want to get used to the timing and the structure and the rigors of the GMAT. I get all that, but you don't need to take 15 practice exams. In fact, what you should be doing between your baseline practice test and your later on practice test is mastering the material, because look, practice tests aren't going to really show you where you're weak. Practice tests, yeah, they'll give you an idea of what to expect on test day, but you really want to use those for important data once you feel as though you've mastered quant and verbal, and at that point they become super meaningful. So what should you do instead? Well, dive into the study plan that I talk about all the time. Your topical study plan, learning a topic, practicing the heck out of that topic, rinsing and repeating, and doing that for all quant and verbal. And then when that's complete and you feel like you're where you should be to hit your target score in your practice test at the end of your prep, you'll be ready to go. And we'll talk shortly about what you can then do when taking those practice tests and how to use that data. Tip number 3, begin taking weekly practice exams after learning GMAT Quant and Verbal in the weeks leading up to your practice exam. So you did your study plan. You followed exactly what I said. Topical learning, topical practice, everything is mastered. Now you're ready to dive into your practice exams. Okay, there's 6 total practice exams from GMAT. So what are you going to do? You are going to take all 6 of them. Spread them out about a week apart, right? Maybe every 5 days if you have to. Try to take them when you're not so tired too. So for example, if you have a long day of work, don't take a practice test then. It's just not worth it. Either you're going to have to take a day off or take a half day, or again, take them on the weekends. and still make sure your situation is as realistic as possible. Don't do it at a coffee shop or in the middle of your kitchen. Really sit down and focus. At this point, I'm sure you have the right utensils, the whiteboard or the dry erase notebook. I'm sure you know the rules of test day. Follow those rules and take the darn thing and then see how you do. And based on that, you're going to know how to move forward with either review or your next practice test or so forth, and we'll get to that next. Tip number 4, analyze the results in between practice tests. Remember, as I said, these practice tests have a lot of great data because you're done with the learning phase of your preparation. You have 31 quant and 36 verbal questions, so go over them carefully. For example, let's say in the quant section you got an average rate question wrong and a percent change question wrong. Well, when reviewing those questions, you really got to dig in and be truthful and honest with yourself. Was it a careless mistake? Was it a trap answer? Did I run out of time? Or heck, did I have some conceptual gaps that really need to be addressed? And if it's the conceptual gaps, then you're going to have to go back to your materials. You're going to have to look at those lessons and those sections and fill in those gaps. That's why this data is so important. Did you misuse the average rate formula? Did you misuse the percent change formula? Or did you not even know how to use those formulas? These are all questions that you have to ask yourself so that you can do the right things when reviewing and improving after each test. Now, the other thing is that it's not just your wrong answers that you want to go through. Look at your correct answers. Why did you get them right? Are you doing things great, or did you do something where you got lucky? Did you take a lucky guess? These are all things that are super important. So it may take a few days to review each practice exam, and then from there, you may want to do extra practice getting yourself as tight as possible before your next practice exam, and then you're going to rinse and repeat. So there's 6 exams, so again, this is going to take some time, but by the time you're done with these, you should be in a really great spot and be ready for your test. Tip number 5, use your official practice exams to assess your readiness to take the GMAT. This is big. I told you there's 6 exams. Now, if you're up to exam 4 and you're 50 points off your score goal every single time, that means you got to take a step back, ask yourself, what is going on here? How can I fix it? And am I going to be ready to take my test in, say, a few weeks? Now, if the answer is no, then you just change some things around. You move your GMAT, and hopefully you scheduled it early so that's not an issue for applications. And you do what's right, because you never want to go into your GMAT with a hope and a prayer, right? If you're hitting your score goals on your practice exams, that's a great sign. You should be able to do it on test day, barring any unforeseen circumstances. However, if you're not hitting your score goal on your practice exams, that could be a tougher situation. My suggestion is reschedule things, get your head right, and take the test when you're ready. But these are all the processes that I would like you to follow from beginning to end when taking practice exams. So that concludes today's video. I had a blast talking with everybody about how to utilize GMAT practice exams in your preparation. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to our channel. There are many others on here that you can watch. And if there's anything else you'd like to learn, by all means, leave a comment. I'd be happy to get to it. Thanks again for watching, and we will talk soon.